Well, I am super excited to be here today as well, tonight. Welcome to Health for Life Cooking. I'm April Ashcroft, and I am really excited to have you here. I'm super passionate about your health and helping you to have optimal health. And what better time of year to want that and to strive for that this time of the year when everybody around us is getting sick, right? We want to keep well during the holidays and for the rest of our lives till the day we die. And I'm just excited to share with you what I've learned about how to make that happen with food. That's where it all begins, is in the kitchen with our food. Experts say that diet is like 90% of our health, and everything else is in that 10% range. And so it all begins in the kitchen. And I'm just going to brief you just a little bit about myself. I come from a standard American family, eating the standard American diet, and all my family members have gotten the standard American diseases: heart disease, diabetes, cancer. Both my parents died of cancer. All my grandparents, aunts, uncles, all diabetes. We've got kidney failure, and I've watched this over the last, 30, 35, 40 years. Watched this all evolve with my family members, and I decided a long time ago that I wanted to make some different choices that would bring me a different outcome, because I didn't believe that genetics played a role in my disease risk. I felt like I had a choice and I had some things that I could do to change that. And so back 20 years, I learned a lot about nutrition and changed to a whole food plant-based diet pretty much overnight. I was eating a pretty healthy standard American diet. You know, I grew up on whole wheat bread and ate beans, and we had a big garden and all of that. But as all teenagers and young people do, we love our junk food. You know, we love our pizza and our burgers and our French fries and all those kinds of things. But they didn't love me. My body rebelled big time. I didn't feel well, and I had a desire to change. And so I pretty much did overnight, and my energy level went from 0 to 10 within a week after changing my diet, and I never looked back. And over the years, I've learned the healing power in plant foods, and how drastically increasing them into your diet can drastically improve your health, increasing longevity, decreasing risk of disease, reversing disease if you have it, and achieving and maintaining your ideal weight. So, and I love food, I love to eat, I love to prepare it, and I love to prepare it for other people. So thank you for coming and letting me be able to fulfill my passion. My helper in the kitchen tonight is Jan. Say hi to Jan. She's going to keep me in line and hopefully help me out and help me serve you guys tonight. So we're doing a holiday menu. This is one of my favorite classes. I love all the holiday foods. I love this time of year as much as I hate the cold. I love the warm coziness of all the foods that come with it, the winter squashes and potatoes and all those things that most people think are fattening because they're carbs. But we love our carbs. Our body's main fuel is carbohydrates. We need to be eating them, and we need to base our diet on them. And so this is a very high carb meal. You're going to have lots of energy tonight and tomorrow morning. I hope you can sleep. So, okay, so we're going to start off with a holiday lentil loaf, and I'm also going to do some festive squashy mashed potatoes. Festive squashy mashed potatoes. God, I'll say that 10 times fast. And with some chicken style gravy, cauliflower gravy. And then on the back of your sheet, your recipe sheet, by the way, did everybody get a recipe sheet? They're just up there by the door. And please, I hope you grabbed a handout while you're at it. There's several up there. And then we're doing a traditional sweet potato pie. I don't know if I promised a pumpkin pie at my last community ed, but this is pretty close. I did a class last week for ICL, the Institute of Continued Learning. I did a pumpkin pie, so I thought I'd better do some sweet potato pie this time, which is very similar. So if you really have to have my pumpkin pie and you weren't here, just email me and I'd be happy to send it to you. I'm also going to do a Dixie salad. Who is from St. George and is familiar with a Dixie salad with pomegranates? Okay, I'm going to make that salad for you tonight. That was a classic that I kind of grew up with. So, all right, so I'm just going to get started. And let's see, get my burner going here on the front. So when I start cooking, pretty much the first thing that comes out is an onion. I use onions in pretty much everything I cook. Onions have organosulfur compounds that we need to get in our body to help fight cancer. A large European study involving 10 countries showed that people who ate the most onions had the least cancers of all types. And I have this amazing Vidalia Chop Wizard, or progressive chopper. Does anybody have it? You went and bought it. Okay, I had it at my last class. Meant to bring it tonight. I mean to bring it to every class, but it's home in my sink after I used it to prep for this class. So next time, you got to come to my next class if you want to see that chopper in action. But you can go online, Bed Bath & Beyond, or go online, Progressive Chopper or Chop Wizard, and it's on there, and it's a great little kitchen tool. But we just got an onion to chop tonight, so. Those sulfur compounds are inactive when the onion is whole, okay? You know, it doesn't bother you until you start chopping that up. And as soon as you're chopping it up and you're breaking open the cell wall, you're making those organosulfur compounds much more bioavailable. They start producing more compounds when you chop them. And the more you chop them, the more you chew them, the more benefit they have for your body. And in my pan, I have nothing except for onions. I don't have any oil, I don't have any water, I don't have any kind of liquid of any kind. Not that I'm not going to add some. But I don't use any oil at all in my cooking. Oil is 120 calories of pure 100% fat. It's the highest calorie, lowest nutrient food that we consume. And ever since we learned back in the late 80s that olive oil was so healthy for us because the Mediterraneans eat it, we started pouring it on everything we eat. We've become a much healthier nation, haven't we? We're skinnier, our heart disease has gone down, right? No, we haven't. We've gotten heavier as a nation. Our heart disease is our #1 killer. What happened to the olive oil? How come we're not doing better when we're using all this olive oil? It's because it's not true. The Mediterranean diet is healthy despite the olive oil. It's a healthy diet. It's a plant-based diet. That's why they do so well over there. Dr. Caldwell Esselstyn has proven that you can reverse heart disease in people that are, waiting for bypass surgery. They're on the verge of having, quadruple bypass surgery, and he can clean out their arteries with a whole food plant-based diet, but he says absolutely no oil. And people that go off that and do oil, they end up having major problems. I highly recommend going onto my website, healthforlifecooking.com. It's on your handout. And on the front page, just down a little ways, says, why no oil? I've got 2 or 3 videos up there from Dr. Esselstyn, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, who talks about the same thing. Oil coats the lining of your arteries and greatly impedes the nitric oxide process. Nitric oxide keeps your blood vessels like Teflon. You know how Teflon things slide around on the Teflon skillet? That's how you want your arteries, free flowing, so your blood flows through them. When you dump olive oil in your body, it slows that whole process down. As you can see, I don't have any, it's not sticking at all. I'm just kind of waiting for it to turn a little bit brown. And you don't have to babysit that much. I'm just kind of stirring it as I go. I'm also going to add some celery to this. But first, I'm going to add some garlic. And garlic has those same compounds, those anti-cancer compounds, as onions. In fact, they're even more powerful. So if you can get garlic in your diet every day, that would be awesome. I don't think it's bad. I think it might be old. I don't want to say oxidized, but possibly oxidized. I don't know. I haven't really heard any reports on that, but I'll bet a great resource that I would eventually mention, but I'll mention it right now. Dr. Michael Greger with nutritionfacts.org. He puts up a video every other day for the last 6 or 8 years about the latest in scientific research. There's literally thousands of videos up there about every subject you want to know on nutrition. And I'll bet there's one on there about that bottled garlic. I need to check myself because I'd be curious to know. I think it's probably fine. The nutritional value's probably not as potent, not as powerful. If you can find it in a water base or something like that, I don't know if you buy it in an oil base, that wouldn't be good. But can you buy it in water? Okay. I'm guessing it's probably okay. There's nothing wrong with it anyway. Okay, so it's starting to get just a little bit brown over here on the side, and that's okay. That's starting to kind of caramelize. The sugars are coming out of the onion. So I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of water, and that's going to loosen up that browning and add a little bit of flavor. Bring that flavor off the bottom of the pan and into our food, which is where we want it. And then I'm going to add some celery. And this is 4 cups of chopped celery. Celery is one of those foods that you can cook and cook and cook, and the nutrient values just get bigger and bigger and bigger the more you cook it. You don't lose anything. Carrots are the same way. Beets are the same way, which surprises me because when you cook them, a lot of the nutrients go into the water, but if you were to drink the water, you'd end up with that anyway. If you were to eat the water, drink the water, have the water in soup, whatever. Okay, we'll let those cook for just a moment. And also another thing what I do when I'm cooking onion is I always like to add some mushrooms. Mushrooms have aromatase inhibitors, and they keep estrogen levels low. They've been shown to decrease a woman's risk of breast cancer by 64%, and it was only one button mushroom, one little white button mushroom. 64% reduction. How many of us, we're all women tonight, how many of you can eat just one a day and make it cooked? You know, even if you don't love them, chop them up super, super fine, and you'll never know what's in there. Okay, so let's see. We're going to go ahead and put in our, well, we'll wait and put in our parsley more towards the end of cooking. I'm just going to let this go for just a little bit and move on to something else.
And I'm just curious to know on your fresh garlic, do you refrigerate that or not?
Fresh garlic, no, I don't. I just keep it on the counter in a cupboard. Yeah. I usually use it, you know, I use a bulb within a week, so. So while I'm thinking about it, the rice that I'm using tonight is a black rice. I can't remember what it's called. I buy it in the bulk section at Harmon's, but I know you can get it in bags. But it's a deep, dark, rich rice. And of course, the darker the color of your foods, of all foods, the higher the antioxidant content is. And antioxidants equal anti-aging. They equal anti-inflammatory. So high antioxidant foods, of course, we know are blueberries and all your berries. We're using some pomegranates tonight and some grapes tonight, which are high in antioxidants. So that's what we kind of want to focus on. There's a handout over there. Let's see, is there a handout? No, there's not a handout over there, but I do want to talk about one of the handouts that's over there. It's the one on protein, and it's their plant-based protein. It's the green handout over there. And one thing, if you don't learn anything tonight about nutrition, the one thing I want you to learn or to remember is that all plant foods contain protein. In fact, the butternut squash that we're having tonight with our mashed potatoes is 9% protein. That may not seem like a whole lot, but who would ever thought that protein is found in butternut squash? We know it's found in greens because Popeye told us back when we were kids that we needed to eat our spinach because we'd get big muscles because of all the protein, right? Well, it's in all plant foods, and we don't need more than 10% protein in our diet. So butternut squash, we could pretty much live on it if we could. But of course, we'd get tired of it after a few days. Okay, so let's see. We've got some potatoes over here. Are they?
You want them drained?
Yes, please. We'll have those drained. So I'm going to do, let's see. I'm going to do what's it called? A fruit salad tonight, a Dixie salad, and I'm going to need a dressing for that. So I'm going to go ahead and make that dressing. Let's see, get rid of that. So is there anybody here tonight that is allergic to walnuts? No, okay, so we'll use our walnuts in our fruit salad. Jan, You heard that hint? Okay.
Can I pour out some more?
Oh yes, please. Just like a quarter cup maybe is all. Okay, so I like to do, my salad dressings are kind of a nut or seed based dressings. I do lots of vinegar, dates. Now dates are one of your healthiest sweeteners, and this is kind of in the base of my salad dressing tonight. And what I have here, let's see, is this my dressing for my, no, this is not my dressing for it. This is actually for the pie. We want to go over here. Okay, so our dressing for our salad is going to be a half a cup of cashews. And if you're allergic to cashews or have a problem with that, you can use sunflower seeds or even hemp seeds. What I like to do in place, because sometimes I do have people that need a nut substitute, I'll do half hemp seed and half sunflower seeds, because both seeds have a little bit of a strong flavor. And if you do half of each, it kind of, you don't get such a strong flavor of each, okay? But we're doing cashews tonight because we can splurge on holidays, right? We've got a half a cup of cashews and about 3 pitted dates, and these are soaking in some water. Okay, when I soak my nuts and my dates, it's gonna ease the blending, make them blend much creamier. So I'm gonna go ahead and just dump these in my blender. Come on in, ladies.
Is that recipe, are you doing a whipped cream recipe?
I'm doing, yes, no, I'm actually doing the Dixie salad, and it's just towards the end of the salad. It's the ingredients are right there with the salad. So we're blending the cashews, the dates, and the water, okay? Now this recipe also could be used for a whipped cream, for a pie, or to mix in with any kind of a salad. The whipped cream you're having tonight, though, with the pie, is this whipped cream recipe that's on here where I've added a light colored sweet potato, which cuts the fat greatly, of course. But I am gonna do this one for the salad. But again, you can do a whipped cream that's just cashews and dates. I've done that before. That's a really rich, creamy, delicious whipped cream. So we'll go ahead and just blend that. Super simple. Yes, thank you. And then I've got a little handy little tool, because when you blend stuff like that, not very much quantity, and even when you have a lot in there, sometimes it splatters up in the bowl. So I like to get one of these little jobbers here and just kind of squirt down the sides. Yeah, right? Or you can use a water bottle. I've done that before too. The lid. We put the lid on that. So if you were going to do a whipped cream for like a pie, you would want to be really careful about the amount of water that you put in here. So you wouldn't want to, like I did, I squirt down the sides, you know, to kind of clean it off. We can have just kind of a runny dressing for this, but if you're doing like a cream for a pie, you'll want to have it much thicker. So you want to be careful of the amount of water that you add. And you'll probably want to be adding a lot more cashews than what I've got in here too. Okay, so to my fruit salad, I'm just going to stir my veggies here for a second. They're looking like they're getting pretty close to being done. Let's see, fruit salad. Oh, you know what I'm going to need? Can you cut up those apples?
Oh, you bet.
Yeah.
Like your potatoes?
A little bit bigger, a little bit smaller. Okay, so in our fruit salad, we're going to have some grapes, and these are black holiday grapes is what they were called. So I've got a couple cups. I'm actually going to increase this amount just a little bit, just to make sure we've got plenty for you guys to have a nice sample. And then some pomegranates. These are off my tree, so great local. You know, when they're local and seasonal, your body needs the nutrients in these local seasonal foods more than really anything else. I mean, if something's growing locally, your body needs it, and it's in season. So I've got a fruit tree pretty much for every season. because I want to get those. I love fruit for one thing, and it's just really great to get all those good local nutrients. Okay, and then to this also, we're going to add some walnuts, which are right there. And I'm going to add some apple to this as soon as Jan gets it cut up. Let's see, what else do we have in here? Pomegranates, apples, grapes, and the walnuts, and then we'll put the dressing on. So I'm just going to set this off to the side till we get our apples, and we'll mix that in along with our dressing. We'll move back over here to our loaf ingredients that's cooking, and that's looking pretty good. Okay, so into this I'm going to add some seasonings. We're going to add a holiday herb mix, and that recipe is on your sheet here. We got some dried sage, rosemary, and marjoram, thyme, and some black pepper. And I've also got in here your onion powder as well. So I'm just going to dump that right in here and stir that in. That's where you get those holiday smells, that sage and thyme. I love it. And then we're going to stir in our parsley. And this is about, let's see, it's calling for how much parsley? Half a cup, which is about what I got. And if you can use fresh herbs in this, more power to you. I don't cook with fresh herbs a ton. I do like to use fresh parsley, cilantro, dill, and basil. Those are my 4 favorites. Easy to find. Who grows their own herbs? Anybody venture into that around here? You do a little bit? Yeah? Okay. All right, so once this is done, I'm just going to turn that off. Oops. And get my bowl. And we're just going to add it right into our bowl here. Oops. This can be a replacement for turkey or ham for your holiday meal, or it could also be a side dish, as in like for your stuffing, instead of doing a bread stuffing. Not sure how my family would go for that, having a lentil stuffing instead of a bread stuffing, but it has all the flavors of stuffing and it's much healthier. So we're using this black rice, so I'm just going to mix that in, 3 cups of black rice. And you can use regular long grain rice if you want. Or you could use a mixed, any kind of wild rice would be great. I just love the color and the richness of this black rice. And then we're also going to use some lentils. This is 3 cups of cooked lentils. I just cook these ahead of time. One of the, a big lifesaver with cooking like this, people often will say it just takes too much time. I'm too much time in the kitchen cooking with, all these plant foods, chopping all this stuff. And a lot of it is just pre-planning. And that's sometimes really hard to do. But like if I'm doing, like with this, I could totally cook these lentils and the rice the day before, or even a couple days before. It's just a matter of planning ahead. And the squash that I'm doing with the mashed potatoes, I threw that in the oven this morning on 350 while I was getting ready for work. And it's just cooking all by itself, and it's ready to go for dinner that night. So if you can just plan ahead, that helps. Okay, so we're just going to stir in our oats, a half a cup of oats, and this is just going to give it some stickiness. You could even stuff this into a squash. That would be really good, like some acorn squash or banana squash, and bake it. And then a half a cup of pumpkin seeds. And you can use walnuts or pecans, chopped walnuts or pecans. I'm finding that I get a lot of people in my classes who have an allergy, or who have somebody in their family with an allergy to nuts, and they want to know, can I use seeds? And pumpkin seeds are a great substitute for pecans and walnuts both. All right. Okay, to this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of balsamic vinegar. You can use any kind of balsamic vinegar. I like this Costco brand. Actually, I don't think it's a Costco brand, but I get it at Costco. Well, there we go. And I'm also going to use a little tamari soy sauce. Three tablespoons of it. And this can be your salt, or you can, if you need a little bit more salt, you can add a little bit more salt to that as well. Okay, and then I'm going to get my pastry cutter. Much better use for a pastry cutter than pastries. Okay? So I'm just going to smash all of this together to get it a little bit sticky. Oops. So lentils are a legume. They're in the legume family. Beans, peas, and lentils. Beans, peas, and lentils increase fat burning and reduce fat storage after a meal. I think we all would like a little bit of that, right? They help to decrease your desire for sweets. They're very filling. They feed your gut bacteria, your microbiome. They're like a probiotic. They're like a prebiotic and a probiotic. Well, they're a prebiotic because they feed your gut bacteria. Your gut bacteria's favorite food is fiber, and the best place to find fiber is, one of the best places is in beans. Beans, peas, and lentils. They contain resistant starch, and that resistant starch resists digestion, normal digestion. It's digested in the large intestine, goes down there and feeds that gut bacteria. It changes to butyrate, which is a fatty acid. Beans will lower cholesterol and blood pressure right at the same time. There's no pill that will do that. In fact, there's no pill of any kind, vitamins, minerals, that will feed your body the way whole natural plant foods do. We need to get our nutrients from foods, not out of a bottle. Man has never made and will never make a pill that is as good as what nature has provided for us. Okay, so what we want is a stickiness to this, and we can just grab a little bunch here and smash it together and see if it's holding, and it's doing a pretty good job. I want to smash that just a little bit more though. Studies show that people who eat beans twice a week, 1 cup of beans twice a week, cut the risk of colon cancer in half. What if we were eating them every day? My favorite nutrition expert, Dr. Joel Fuhrman, he's a board-certified family physician from New Jersey, and he teaches people about a nutritarian diet. It's a diet high in nutrients, and talks about the higher the base your diet on foods that are high in nutrients and low in calorie. And that's beans. All this stuff I'm doing tonight is pretty much low calorie stuff. Okay, so once we have that chopped up to where it's fairly sticky, and that's feeling pretty good, we're just going to put it into a loaf pan. And I'm actually not going to put it in a pan. It's easier to transport one like this because we're not eating this one. We're going to be eating one that's already cooked. But you just put this in a loaf pan, and you can put some parchment paper on the bottom of your pan, bake it, let it cool, and then flip it out onto a platter. cover it with some, like this gravy that I'm going to be doing tonight, or some kind of a mushroom gravy or something, and it looks very nice. So we're just going to set this off to the side, and we'll be serving up that loaf here shortly.
So the black rice, is that just in any grocery store next to regular rice? I mean, is it pretty accessible?
You know, I looked for it at Harmon's, in like the bagged section where it would be if they sold it that way, and they didn't have it. It was in their bulk section. So Harmon's has it in their bulk section. I'm guessing any grocery store, most grocery stores, I know Smith's has a bulk food section. They probably carry it. You can buy wild rice, bags of wild rice at Natural Grocer. I don't know if you can buy that black rice. You probably can, but they'll have like a mix. They have different types of wild rice, mixes of browns and light, you know, you've probably seen them in a bag. So you can buy them there, but I think a lot of the grocery stores will probably have it. In the bulk section, yeah. I mean, like I say, they do sell it at Natural Grocer in bags, so some grocery stores may have it in bags. So, okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add this fruit, these apples, to the salad. Jan, you can, oh, never mind, you're cutting, you're good. I've got, okay, this time of year I've got pomegranates, and then, well, I guess not every month of the year. I lied. So I've got apricots and plums. They come on like early. And then I've got a grapevine. I've got figs that come in like July, August. What else? Oh, nectarine that comes on even later than the figs. They come on kind of towards the end of the figs. And I think that's it. But it seems like this summer I had something from pretty much, let's see, my apricots came on like the 1st of June, I think. I had fruit clear to, well, I still have. I think I've had fruit ever since, pretty much. There might have been a little span between my nectarines and the pomegranates. There was probably a month there where I didn't have anything.
You don't have a peach?
I don't have a peach. I like nectarines better. And I think nectarines are a little bit easier to grow. Peaches are a little bit. Yeah, peaches are hard to grow. Good. Okay, so I'm just going to pour this dressing. You can take this and just, I'll probably need my knife again maybe though. Let's see, better turn that off. So I'm just going to pour this dressing right over this salad right here. I'd like to be able to grow some oranges. I have a friend who has a greenhouse and he's trying to grow oranges.
I heard it can be done.
Yeah, I know lemons can be. That's another fruit I'd like to have. And when I can't grow them myself, I go to the farmer's market and get stuff from people who can. There's a great seller that comes out of Leeds, and she has some things that I love to get. Okay. And this is just going to be a light cream. We don't want it too heavy. And you can always do more than this, but I like to keep it somewhat light. You could even do some cranberries in this. Cranberries would be really good. I love the tart of cranberries. And when you're mixing it with all this sweet fruit and putting that sweet dressing on, it would take away from the tart of the cranberries. I do a cranberry apple salad that I did actually at my class last week. That's just apples, cranberries, equal parts apples and cranberries. In fact, I have a video on my website of how to make it. It's cran apple relish salad. And it's just cranberries, apples, dates, and walnuts. You just grind it all up in a food processor. And it's kind of like a relish, you know, kind of a relishy kind of thing. You can have it with your meal or as a side dish or whatever. I love it.
Get the whole cranberry.
Uh-huh, the whole raw cranberries, yep. I don't cook them, or it's all raw. Okay.
Can you just, when you buy dates, how are they coming pitted, or are they coming in a
You can buy them, like Costco has them in a tub right now. They have the Deglet Nor pitted date, and they're pitted. They're a smaller date about the size of my thumb. And then they also have the Medjool, which is in a more square container, and it's in the produce section. And it's bigger, it's about double the size, and it's more plump, and they have a pit in them. They're a little more expensive. They're really good, but they're so expensive I don't want to blend them. I like to use them for, you know, just to eat if I were to buy them.
So you probably do get the pitted.
I do get the pitted, just because it's so much easier to use this way. I wouldn't use nearly as much if I had to pit them all, and so I should probably buy the pitted so I don't use them as much. Okay.
They're just in their real form. They're not dried or anything.
Right.
Okay.
Right. Okay, so there's our fruit salad. It's beautiful, and I can't wait to try it. So I will set it back here. We'll do the loaf first. So in fact, if you want, I'm going to do the potatoes. So if you want to start with the Okay. Okay, so our potatoes. I've got 4 pounds of Yukon Gold potatoes right here, and what I'm going to do with these is I'm going to just smash in some squash. This is a super, super easy recipe. This is butternut squash, and on your recipe sheet it says 2 10-ounce packages of frozen squash. And I like to go simple if I can, especially a holiday meal where I'm doing a lot of stuff. And I wanted to bring the frozen fruit element into this class because I encourage people, if you don't have time to chop all your vegetables, buy them frozen. Frozen is just as good and sometimes better than fresh because they've picked the fruit or picked the vegetable and they freeze it. It doesn't sit anywhere for days and then ships and then all that stuff. So it's sometimes better, sometimes higher in nutrients. So don't be afraid to eat frozen vegetables. So what we're going to do is just add this to our potatoes. Let's see. Oh yeah. And this is just, you know, this is just a fun way to bring some color into your meal. Doesn't add necessarily a whole lot of different flavor or anything. I just like the color that's added. Potatoes are relatively, you know, a lower nutrient food, not super high in antioxidants. And so I like to just bring a little color into them and make the potatoes a little bit more fancy. So I'm just going to take my potato masher and mash it all in. And this is a butternut squash. Like I mentioned this morning, I just threw that in the oven and cooked it. I just cook it whole. Have you ever tried to cut a raw butternut squash? Have you about cut off your fingers? I like to I throw it in the oven on a cookie sheet, 350, 375, 400, however much time I got to let it cook. And just let it cook and let it get soft, and then I cut it. It's so much easier. In fact, if you let it sit and cool, that skin will just peel right off, okay? And that's pretty much what I did with this. There is a little bit of heat on that, isn't there? Okay, so to this, I'm gonna add a little bit of gravy, and I'm gonna make that gravy. This is going to be a cauliflower gravy. I did cauliflower mashed potatoes at my last class, but I'm going to show you a cauliflower gravy here that's super simple. We don't need to use any cornstarch because the cauliflower is going to add thickness to your gravy. Okay, so I'm just going to dump, this is a pound of cauliflower that I've pre-cooked again. You could cook this in the morning and stick it in your fridge and it's already ready to go and blend. So I'm just going to add that right here, along with the soak water. I cooked it in about a half a cup of water, and I'm using that soak water to help blend. So to this, I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of chicken style seasoning. And this, did I give you this recipe? I did give you this recipe. You can use this recipe on the back of your sheet, or you can buy a broth, chicken broth seasoning or beef broth seasoning or whatever, but this is no chicken broth, but it tastes kind of like chicken. I'll just dump that right in there. And then I want to add a little extra creaminess to this by adding some sunflower seeds. And you can use cashews if you want. I like to incorporate more seeds into into meals, into blending and making creamy sauces because they're higher in nutrients, higher in minerals, higher in proteins, higher in fibers. They contain lignans, which convert to phytoestrogens in the body, which we need. We women need phytoestrogens. So I'm going to go ahead and just dump those in like there. And then let's see, is that all we need for our gravy? Onion powder, yes. Got our onion powder right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and blend. Oh, wrong one. One thing great about this blender is it will heat. So I was going to heat it on the stove, but I think if I just blend it here for a minute, it'll just heat right up. Steam coming out of there. So one thing about a blender, I'm gonna pour some of this right into our potatoes. See how thick that is? Thick and nice that is. Oh, I was going to talk about the blender. This blender is a pretty expensive blender. It's like a $400 blender, Vitamix. There's Blendtec that's a little bit cheaper. I really, if people are getting into plant-based cooking, I really encourage you to invest in a good blender. It's a major appliance. I use it more than any other appliance in my kitchen. It's well worth it. This thing's about 17 or 18 years old. Haven't done a thing to this. I've had to buy new canisters, but it's a power horse and it just works awesome. Love it. Okay, I'm going to just get my blenders out here and just blend, do a little blending. I was going to have you do this, but I think I'll just, no, that's okay. I got it. Just to get these mashed down just a little bit more. And hopefully they won't be cold by the time you get them. Okay. Hopefully those are good and warm. Let me just set that right there. Jen, do you want to serve up the potatoes? In fact, I can probably help you. Aren't those beautiful? They just adds a nice color to them. Not so much flavor. In fact, speaking of flavor, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. And we'll put a little bit of, just a little spoonful of gravy on each of your plates as well. Okay. Yes. Well, let's see. I don't know. A nice scoop, yeah. We got plenty there, so load them up. Yeah.
Looks delicious. I think I'm doing this for Thanksgiving.
Do you ever go out to eat?
Oh, I try not to.
Yeah, there's nothing around.
It's not real fun. Yeah, I really don't go out to eat because I've gotten so particular, you know, and there's not really restaurants that are too plant-based compliant, and it's just frustrating. So, you know, Cafe Rio, I used to go to occasionally, and those types of places that would have a good salad bar. So I'm putting this gravy over the loaf, but you can kind of mix it in with your potato as well. Okay, we've got a fork there for everybody. Oops. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe I'll get going on the pie. Okay, so we'll go ahead and get some pie going so you have some dessert. And I think she's got the salad back here too. We'll get that out to you.
I have a question on the herb mix.
Yes.
When you say dried, do you buy it dried, whole dried? Like you're not buying
I'm drying dried herbs.
okay.
Yeah. Yep.
And where do you buy those?
I buy those at, you know, I get them different places. I'll get them at Natural Grocer. They have them in packages, you know. And then I'll also get them through a place called Azure Standard, AZURE standard.com. It's a co-op out of Washington, and they come down once every month. And I can buy them by the pound, and they're relatively a little bit cheaper that way. And yeah, that's a good place to get herbs, spices. And a lot of it's organic quality. All right, we gotta have some sweet potato pie for our dinner, for our dessert. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. I might have to get rid of that. Oh, just forks, yeah. So we need a crust for our pie, and I like to do a nut-based crust instead of your flour-based crust, and this is like nuts and oats together. So I'm going to start off with a cup of raw pecans, and you can use walnuts. Pecans are preferred for a crust. You can use almonds as well. Let's see. I'm going to just okay. And then I'm going to use a cup of oats. These are just rolled oats. And then we want some spices. I've just got some cinnamon and nutmeg. 1½ teaspoons of cinnamon and ½ teaspoon of nutmeg. No, I don't want that in there. I want that in my pie. Okay, never mind. The pie that we're having tonight is already done, so this will be okay. So I just put my spices in my crust. But that's okay, because I've done that before, actually. Have you ever put spice in crust? It's really good. It adds a niceness to your crust. So I didn't really do that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and grind this up. Whoops, we need to plug that in. Oh, we need some vanilla too. We want a half a teaspoon of vanilla. I'm just going to guess on that. Oh, oh shoot. Sorry about the walnuts. So what we're looking for in our crust is, with our nuts and our oats, is for it to become a little bit sticky. We want to be able to press this in the bottom of our pie pan. And how we test for that is just taking out a little clump and pressing it in between our fingers, and if it sticks together, then it's going to be good. So I'm going to go ahead and just use this. Now I forgot to bring my pie pan tonight, so I'm using this type of a pan, and I often actually will put it in this type of a pan because I think it's much easier to serve at like a potluck, or where you're wanting to get more than like 6 pieces out of it. You know, you want little smaller pieces. Plus, I just think the pie shape and serving, that's so annoying. Who agrees with me that a pie is annoying to try to serve? I don't know. So anyway. I will often do my pies just like this. So I'm just going to kind of move my crumble ingredients on the bottom. And with a pie pan, you can kind of work it up the sides, so you've got a little bit of a crust around the sides. But I'm just going to keep it low, keep it right on the bottom with this. And that's about the perfect amount. And you could, with a lot of the pies that I do a lot of fruit pies. You can do this crust for any type of pie that you're doing. My fruit pies, I will blend, I'll just use like 6 cups of fruit, blend one of those cups with some dates to sweeten, and the dates help to thicken it and make like a sauce, and then you pour it over your fruit, and you just add it to this. And it's a raw pie with this raw crust. And I was going to say, when I do those, I usually reserve a little bit of the crust ingredients, so I'll make a little bit more and sprinkle that over the top. So you could even do that with this pie. You could do just a little bit more date, maybe use another 1/4 cup of pecans or nuts, and reserve part of that, a little bit of it, and sprinkle it over the top just to make it look nice. Okay, so see, nice, easy, super easy crust, super easy compared to the type that you have to roll out, you know, and fit just right and all that. No fun there. Okay, so our inside portion of our pie is going to be cashews and dates soaked. Actually, no, this is what is this? I got 2. This is, what's that? My whipped cream. This is not my whipped cream. The whipped cream's going to go on the pie. You've got your recipe for my whipped cream, and I'm not actually going to make that. I'm not demoing that, because that's just basically a blender deal. You just put everything in the blender and blend it up. Of course, we do this with this as well. But this sweet potato pie, this is 10 dates and 1/2 cup of almond milk, okay? And this almond milk I made myself. It's super easy. I just soak about 1/2 cup of almonds and blend it with a couple cups of water. And if you're going to drink a milk like almond milk, you're going to want to strain it probably, but I don't ever drink my almond milk. I don't have a need to drink milk. We really don't need to drink anything but water. And so I use it mainly for, you know, a hot cereal or pumpkin pie, and so I won't strain the pulp off. So that's why that says unstrained almond milk. So anyway, this is just some homemade almond milk with some dates soaked, and that's it. So I'm going to put this in my blender. And I'm going to add just a little bit of water to that to clean that out. And then to this, I've got my sweet potato that's already cooked. This is 2 cups of sweet potato. And I'm just going to put, normally when I do this, I will blend just half of it and then stir in or mix in the other half, because I like a little bit of texture. A friend of mine that comes from the South, she says real sweet potato pie has chunky little bits of sweet potato in it. Is that true? You're nodding your head. I kind of like both. I like a creamy pie or with the chunky. But because I want to keep it kind of traditional, that's what I was doing. It was, you know, just kind of stirring with a good arm or some beaters, blending it in, mixing it in. But right now I'm just going to blend part of it. Keep your forks for your pies, okay? I'm gonna add just a little bit more in here. Oh, don't want to lose that. If you get too much in here, it's a little bit hard for the blender to blend. Okay, that gets a little hard to blend. I'm going to, just to save a little bit of time and not get the blender out, the beaters out, I'm just going to go ahead and add the rest to this. The pie that you'll have tonight, I did beat with the beaters. But just to simplify things, I'm just going to do that in here. You could also do this in a food processor if you wanted. Okay, so that is it with that. I'm going to go ahead and just add this. So normally I would put my seasonings, my spices, my cinnamon and nutmeg and whatever else other seasonings you want to put in there. But since I put that in the crust, we will do without tonight. Sure. Did you do the fruit salad? Oh, you did do the fruit salad. Awesome. You're on it.
Do you use tofu much?
I don't use a lot of tofu, no. I have nothing against tofu. Soy is actually a good thing to use on a regular basis. The problem with soy comes, there's a lot of anti-soy information out on the internet, and the problem with the soy, or the problem comes when you're eating soy in a highly processed form, like soy-based hamburgers and hot dogs and fake meat analogs. That's where the problem comes, because it's using isolated soy protein, which raises IGF-1 levels in the blood. It's so much like animal protein that it raises IGF levels in the blood, and that actually increases risk of cancer. So we want to not use highly processed soy products. We want to use edamame. Tofu is a very minimally processed soy product. Soy milk is okay. It's just basically soybeans that have been blended and strained. Tempeh is another good soy product, fermented soybeans.
Sorry, quick question.
Yeah.
Walnuts in this crust or no?
No, there are no walnuts in the pie crust. Right. It's the same as what I just demonstrated. Yeah, the only walnuts were in the salad. Okay, so once we get our pie filled, you could put this in the fridge and probably eat it raw if you want. Well, of course, the pumpkin's not raw. Well, the sweet potatoes are not raw. This isn't pumpkin, this is sweet potato pie. The sweet potatoes aren't raw, but you could just probably eat it without baking it. But of course, the baking it is gonna help to kind of firm it up a little bit. That's mainly the only reason you bake it, is because it'll help to firm it up just a little bit. And as you can see, you only bake it for about 30 minutes. And what I found is I'll just turn the oven off and leave it in the oven and let it kind of dry out a little bit more. And that way, you know, it gives you a little bit heavier texture. And as you see, it's a pretty rich, heavy texture. It's not real light like a lot of your cream pies are. Okay, I think I got that about as clean as I'm gonna get it. And then there you go. You just stick that in the oven and bake it, and you're good. Or not bake it. How is the pie? Good? Did you like the loaf? Did you like the loaf and the potatoes and stuff? Good. That fruit salad? Like it? Awesome. Awesome. Any questions? You guys have been so great. You've been so quiet, though.
On the squash, how long do you cook that? Like at 350 or something?
You know, it depends kind of. If I'm going to be home for a few hours, I like to cook things at lower temperatures. I just feel like it's better for the food. So if I've got a couple hours and I'm going to be home, or if I'm going to be gone running errands and I know I'll be back in time, or I can set my oven or whatever, I'm not in a hurry, I'll do it at 350. But if I'm kind of in a hurry, I'll do like 375 or 400 on the squash and the sweet potatoes as well. So 400 is the maximum. So 350 for a couple hours, 375 for like an hour and a half, 400 closer to an hour, hour and 15. And again, it depends on the size of the squash too. It kind of varies. I have a hard time figuring out a specific time, because it seems like every time I cook it, it's a little bit different. In fact, I'll check the end with the seeds in it, and it'll be soft, but yet the other part of the squash will be still a little bit firm. So I have to get the seed part really super soft to get the other part soft. Anyway.
So that's how you test when you can take it out?
Yeah, I touch it, I squeeze it, or get a knife and puncture it and see how easy it goes into, and test it that way. Yep.
Have you ever tried to boil it? I boiled an acorn squash one time and it actually worked really well.
Like whole?
Yeah, just put it in a
Wow, so boiling a squash, acorn squash, or any kind of squash.
It's really quick.
You can crock pot it too.
Oh, crock pot it too. Oh, and probably Instapot. Yeah, Instapot. Oh, I'll bet. And a pressure cooker probably as well, which is not something I'm familiar with using. So, any other questions? Yes?
So what are you making for Thanksgiving?
I'm not. I'm not making anything. This is my second class, and I've had a potluck, and you know, I don't know, and maybe it's because of my classes. I'm kind of, when Thanksgiving comes, I kind of don't care so much. I will oftentimes take where I'm going, if I go to my daughter's, or I'll take something that I'm willing to eat, that I want to eat, you know, something that I've made. I mean, my family pretty much knows how, and if I go somewhere, like this time I'm going to California at my cousin's, and she knows how I am, and I told her I don't want you to worry about me. I'm going to bring something down with me that I can have, and because I don't want, that's the last thing I want is them to stress about what to feed me, you know. So, and you know, I want to eat what I love too. So, and it's, you know, it's all about the get together, the being with family, and it's not about the food for me. So, as a kid, it was all about the food. So, anybody else? Any other questions?
So with kids, I'm just intrigued by how this whole way of eating works with the family.
It's very hard with kids. I married my husband when I was 30. He had 3 girls. I don't have any kids of my own. He had 3 daughters. They ended up coming to live with us, and they were preteen and teenagers. And you know, I told him this is how I cook, so this is, you know, take it or leave it kind of thing. A little bit harder for them, although I was kind of that way with them as well. You know, they were old enough to where they could, the 2 older ones anyway, could walk down to Taco Bell and get a burrito if they wanted. But they were pretty good. I mean, I tried to make things, you know, Mexican food was definitely a staple. They liked Mexican food. You know, I'd make soups, and they were pretty good to eat some of it. But they got school lunch, and they had friends. They'd go to their friend's house, you know. It wasn't too hard for me, but I know with people with little kids, trying to raise them, trying to switch them is hard. And I just say, you know, just try to incorporate. You know what I do when my grandkids, I got grandkids now, and when they come over, I'll make like an enchilada casserole. Again, Mexican is my standard for family. I'll make like an enchilada casserole, and then I'll have some beans, some rice, some quinoa, some corn, tortillas for them to roll it in, and a little salad, a vegetable of some sort, and that's pretty much what they'll have. I just feel like if you're making something that's got all these components, make those components available separately, and they'll probably eat it. I don't know.
Fruit's a big one with kids too. Smoothies, make lots of smoothies.
Yeah, smoothies are good. I know my daughter's kid, you know, they'll eat, they love garbanzo beans, just plain burnt garbanzo beans. She can open up a can and put them in a bowl, and they'll just sit and eat them. Of course, not every kid's that way if they haven't been raised on beans, but hers pretty much has, and they like that. So I had another hand come up, yeah, in the back.
I was just wondering if the nutritional yeast is gluten-free. I'm still trying to learn about gluten-free things.
That's a good question. I know it's a folic acid-free nutritional yeast, because folic acid can be a problem. And nutritional yeast is fortified unless you buy the unfortified. So, and that's the unfortified kind. But gluten-free, I don't know. I think it is. I would think it is, but especially the unfortified, because I would think that they would be making that super clean for even people that, you know, but I don't have the original package with me, or if you want to email me and just ask me that, I can check my bottle at home. So, and there was another question.
My nieces love beans.
Good.
And one thing that, I know it's got some sugar in it, but it's Bush's vegetarian beans, and you can get a big can of that. You can eat those cold, but they like any kind of beans. I can open any kind of beans, and they tell everybody that will listen. My Aunt Marilyn, she makes the best beans. I mean, they're just poured out of a can.
Wow.
And you know, she ate all her beans at the school luncheon. They were having some kind of barbecued meat, and then some barbecued beans. Oh, she wolfed down the beans and told everybody that I make the best beans.
Beans are the best.
If they're going to be late, I'll leave some beans out for them. I mean, they don't talk about candy or anything. It's beans.
Wow, that's
They're not
awesome.
big on salads, but they eat the beans.
That's awesome. And beans are a really great complete food. I mean, have you guys heard of the blue zones? They're the longest lived people on the planet. They're the five populations that live to be 100 and over. And they don't just live, they thrive. And their diet's a plant-based diet, like at least 90%. Okinawans are like 96%. And the main protein is beans. You know, you got Japanese, you got the soybean, Costa Rica is your black beans, and Mediterranean lentils, and so that's their main source of protein. So they're, you know, that's a great staple. If you can get your kids to eat beans, you're in pretty good shape. I know the vegetables are important as well, but yeah, beans are a great food.
So some people, or most people, anyway, when I have this, because I love beans and I cook with them, when I talk to other people, the conversation turns to gas when you eat these. Right, is that not right?
Right.
So is there, I mean, is there a method to it, or?
Well,
how-
the problem with that is because they're not eating enough of them.
Oh.
But you don't want to start out eating a lot of them because you have a problem. So what you do is you start very small. I mean, the research is showing that just a couple of tablespoons of beans a day have significant benefits at lowering, like, I think it was blood pressure, like 8% lower blood pressure with just a couple of tablespoons a day. So you're gradually incorporating, gradually feeding. It's your gut bacteria. I mean, that's evidence that it's doing something to your gut, and it's doing good things for your gut.
Right.
It might not feel so good, but that's why you just cut back. So if you're having a problem eating beans, just add a tablespoon to your salad or to your soup or whatever that you're having as your main dish. And then in 2 weeks or a month, add 2 tablespoons. And just gradually add them in. And do a little bit every day, because that's going to gradually build up that bacteria and help
So
you.
you have to be consistent. You have to be consistent doing, because if you do it for a while, but then you don't, then you start
Right.
back over.
Yep.
Right, okay,
Yep.
that's what I.
It's kind of like,
I just didn't know what to tell people. They're like, yeah, well, I don't do beans.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, I don't, like, I do beans.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's kind of like working out. You're working out your gut, really, is what you are. And if you go work it out too hard, the first time you're going to be sore and you're going to have pain. But if you just gradually do a little bit and just gradually increase, you're going to build up that bacteria.
But be consistent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, be very consistent with it.
Also heard if some people do have strep bacteria in your system, which I do, beans can actually feed that, so it can make it worse. So that could be a possibility
Oh,
too. And
yeah.
I found that.
What kind of bacteria? Strep?
Strep. Yeah.
Strep bacteria. Wow.
Yes, and it can
Okay.
feed that, so it can be an issue
That's
too.
good to know. I'm guessing that's not real common.
It's more common than you think.
Really?
But yeah, some
Wow.
people have higher levels than others. So.
But you mean you always have it?
If you've had strep like as a kid or different things that can still be in your system,
Oh,
it can be
really?
bad. So some people are more sensitive. I'm a lot more sensitive than most people to it, so
Yeah.
it just depends.
Wow. Any other questions? Yes?
Yeah, do you have a favorite dressing that's not sweet for green salads that's, not oil-based?
Yes, I have a Dilly Ranch that's a sunflower seed based dressing. It's just sunflower seeds with lemon juice, vinegar, and some seasonings. I put dill in it. If you want to email me, I'd be happy to send it to you. And anybody that wants that recipe, I do have a couple of cookbooks. I don't have any with me tonight, but I do have. If you're interested, you can contact me. But again, I don't think I've got recipes on my website. I don't think that one's on there, although I think it is actually. I think I just added it not very long
Are
ago.
your cookbooks on your website?
They are, but just call me and I can get you. You don't need to order it over, because then you're going to pay shipping. And if you're local, I can get you a copy. So.
Okay, so if we email you or call you, your information, I
Mhm.
mean, where's the?
My email address is on your sheet there.
Is on here.
It should be, yeah, on the bottom of your front page, on your first page. Oh, yes, find out what's, actually that's my website, sorry. My email address is healthforlifecooking@gmail.com. Oh yes, number 4.
Also, do you like avocados? Do you use them?
I love avocados and I use them. Avocados are nature's butter.
Yes.
Spread them on toast. I mash them up and mix them into cooked vegetables, which a lot of people have never tried, but that's delicious that way as well. But you don't want to cook it. You take your steamed vegetables off, mash up the avocado, stir it into your steamed vegetables. So good, so good. And even ground up nuts or seeds. I like to ground up pumpkin seeds or sunflower seeds and sprinkle them over steamed vegetables, and that's really good. That's add some great minerals. And when you add fats to your vegetables, you increase the absorption of the nutrients in those vegetables by up to 10 times. So you don't want to eat fat-free, you want to eat some fats. Whole food fats, nuts, seeds, avocados. No oils, no processed oils. So.
So I know that you talked about just eating plant food is good for your general health. Do you teach or do you have specific plants for specific illnesses or diseases that you have? I mean, do you match one up with the other, or you're just like the overall?
Overall, across the board, a whole food plant-based diet will help everything and could cure many things. Like in fact, so quickly with like high blood pressure, diabetes, you got to work with your doctor because within a week, you know, you could be on too much medication. So if you've got diabetes and you want to switch, and I encourage people, you know, if you've got diabetes or heart disease and you want to give this a try, go 100%. Jump right in, get with your doctor, say I'm doing this, and you'll be able to cut back on your medications. Type 1, no. Diabetic, no. But type 2, I know people that are completely off medications after being on them for a while. So again, work with your doctor on that. But yeah, it's good across the board. And then, you know, if you've got, there's some like gut issues, there's nutrient deficiencies in some places, you know, you have to kind of tailor it to you. Once you hit that, you know, if you're doing a plant-based diet and you've done it for a couple months and you're still having problems with this or that, then you go, okay, so what do I need to do now? You know, maybe I'm eating too much fruit. Am I getting too many nuts and seeds in my diet? I just can't quite get my cholesterol down. Maybe I need to cut back on those. Am I eating too much flour products? That's something that I don't talk about a lot, but it's best to use your grains whole, intact. And using a lot of flour products, breads and things like that can slow your progress down with diabetes, blood sugar issues. So you might have to tweak, you know, once you get to.
So how do you know how to tweak it? You're just going to have to figure it out?
Yeah, you could. I mean, you can ask me. I mean, I've got like 30 years of experience working with myself, because I've had to tweak over the years, and also kind of with other people and hearing their experiences. So feel free to email me if you've got some specific questions. And I can't, you know, give you any. I can't tell you, you know, I can't diagnose you or anything like that. But I can give you some recommendations and tell you what I've heard and what I've learned and what I've done with myself. And so, yeah, I'd be happy with that.
My niece is type 1 diabetic, and she uses a lot less insulin than her other friends that are diabetic.
Yes.
And her A1C numbers are lower than her friends that eat the regular diet.
Wonderful.
So,
yes, it will help a type 1 diabetic for sure.
Yeah, she monitors her blood and takes her insulin accordingly, and she just finds she's using a lot less insulin now.
And I just heard, I don't know where it was, I'm just going to say this because it was online, so Dr. Google, you know, it can be, but anyway, it was a reputable doctor I was listening to. I think they're starting to find that you can, in some cases, kind of get your pancreas working right again, maybe a little bit to where you're not, you know, I mean, I don't know, that possibly you can fix your pancreas.
If it's still working, if it's like when you first find out.
If you can catch it early, you can reverse it. Yeah. So, thank you so much for being here tonight, you guys. It was great to have you. I wish you the happiest of holidays, the happiest and healthiest of holidays. And if you do this for your family, and you know, let me know how it goes.
That was delicious.
Thank you. Thank you. And come again. I'll be back in January, the first of the year, to do, I don't know what I'll be doing in January, but